All right, so I just finished week 3 of Charlie Puth's monthly songwriting class, and so I wanted to just review the last couple weeks and let you know how it's been going so far. So if you haven't taken a monthly class yet and you're interested, I would just highly recommend that you jump on that first and foremost. So I'll say that I took my first monthly class in January, the Ryan Tedder course, and I'm not even exaggerating when I say that it completely overhauled my workflow with how I approach writing songs. So this year I've written probably like 5 or 6 songs and like complete songs. And that is just way more than I have written in the past. And so it has been a tremendous investment for me. As far as Charlie's course, it again follows the same mold as other monthly courses, very top tier. I would say this course is more geared for those who want to have a rich pop production and have those thick, kind of luscious vocals stacked on them. That's one of the things that Charlie is known for. And so he breaks that down in his monthly course. And so that's one of the things that I like about them, and what I like about his course is that he does a really good job of explaining his thought process with not only just his melodies and lyric selections, but he's also one of the few that goes in depth on every single VST that he uses. Now, he doesn't know like the inner workings of every single VST, and he even admits that. But then again, that's kind of like where you can go to YouTube to find those sort of technical details. Like the monthly classes are really good for just honing in your workflow and becoming incredibly efficient at songwriting so that you can actually start to pump out more music. So far I've been really enjoying it. I want to dive in and kind of pick up with where I left off from the week 1 video, and just so you kind of have an idea on what's talked about in this course. All right, so if we look at the curriculum here, we left off pretty much from this initial melody and lyric idea. If you want to kind of refresh yourself on the song that I was working on, you can look at the week 1 video and get a sense of where what that sounds like. So then we have expanding and fine-tuning the production. So in this, Charlie Puth really goes into depth on how to create full sounding drums. He spends a lot of time crafting his snare, and that's one thing that I feel like a lot of music producers get all bent out of shape about, having like a perfect sounding snare. I've always dismissed that, but then Charlie in here spent an enormous amount of time on the snare, so I don't know, I guess maybe it is really important. So he does that. He adds in some 80s sort of string elements. He uses a lot of VSTs, so he uses Omnisphere, he uses Arturia Analog Lab, he uses Keyscape, so basically all the really expensive ones. He uses all of those in making his tracks. Not to mention he has a lot of actual analog gear that he records as well. So he really makes this a very full-fledged produced song, and I'm gonna be honest, like, it's a kick-ass song. Like, I would listen to this in my car, and I actually hope he releases it because it's really good. So that's the fine-tuning and production. He also does this weird thing with his voice to make it sound like a guitar. Lots of effects. He loves effects. Really neat. If anything, it's really good food for thought on how to get out of your own way when it comes to creativity. So then that's basically what I had to do. So this was one of the assignments, was to expand your production. And so one thing I do like about the monthly courses is that the assignments are kind of peppered in throughout. So it's not like one big assignment at the end where you just have to submit your finished version of the song. It's like, okay, watch this video, do an assignment. Watch this video, do an assignment. Give feedback. So it's all very well structured, and it never feels overwhelming. It can get time consuming. Like, I spend at least an hour a day on this course, and then on weekends I spend oftentimes multiple hours on Saturday and Sunday doing things. So I mean, it's not a walk in the park, but it does take a lot of time to do this class. All right, so the next thing is chorus, lyrics, and vocals. So this is just him breaking down how he likes to make lyrics very relatable, basically as a way. Basically, he wants to create lyrics where when you would hear it, it sounds like something that you would say, or at least something that you would think. So again, making it relatable, but not cliche. So it's an hour of him trying to articulate what he wants to say in his chorus, as well as stacking in different layers to make it sound full and rich. And then he makes sure that all the vocals sit in the pocket, so that they sound really good in the mix before he moves on to the next line. One other thing that to note is that when he records vocals, he will sometimes just record one word. That's it. Like he won't, like when I think about when I've recorded vocals in the past, I would try to get like an entire line or two really well. And if I didn't get the whole line right, I would re-record it until I get the entire line right. And with this, he basically talks about, if you have a tough line to sing, and this applies to instruments too, but just record one bar, or not even that, just record one word, and then record another word, and then you can just crossfade them together, and you can make it to where they sound natural, not like two very disjointed sounds. And that's what he does in this. Not for every line, like he doesn't just sing one word, but for difficult parts where he has to climb like an octave or higher, he'll break apart those two words instead of trying to do them all in one take. So that was kind of interesting to see. All right, and then of course the projects, and then I had to create chorus lyrics and vocals. And I'm going to show you what the final product of my song is. I figured that'd be more rewarding than just hearing it throughout. So then this is where we give feedback. So this is one of the other neat things about monthly is that you get to give feedback to others. So I had 3 other people that I had to give feedback on. Peer groups vary, people are people. Some are nice and others are not. I found that this peer group that I'm in has been very constructive and very helpful as far as building each other up and giving not just feedback on, oh, that was good, but well, actually some of it was that and just wasn't very helpful. But some of it was like, hey, you should try this. And so they give feedback on things that you can try to make it better. So then this is another lyric video. So Charlie just goes through on writing verse lyrics and vocals. So a lot of this is kind of the same as the chorus. So he goes through and mumbles different sort of syllables or vowel sounds just to get a melody. And then he fills that in with lyrics that pertain to the chorus. So if the chorus has this overlying message, what is the message that the verse needs to say to lead into that? And that's basically the process he goes through. Vocal harmonies, this is one of the things that Charlie's known for. He has these massive vocal stacks. So he completely stays true to that in this. So he has way more vocal stacks than I would even think would be in a monthly course. So the Ryan Tedder one, the Lewis Bell, they have some vocal stacks, but not anywhere near to the way that Charlie does. So he will have 8 vocal takes, all literally saying the exact same syllable or word and on the same note. And then he'll have 4 more for another harmony, 4 more for another harmony. I mean, it's thick. And so that's just not something that I was used to doing. And so that is something that I tried to explore with what I was writing, which you'll hear in a bit. Okay, so then project, you have to finish writing the song and recording the vocals. So that's what I did. And then you give feedback. And then this is all about tuning and vocal production. So aside from automatic tuning using Auto-Tune, he also manually tunes the vocals using Auto-Tune Pro. So he'll go in and make sure that the note is actually sitting well on the grid and is sitting on the pitch that it needs to, as well as he'll change the drift so that it doesn't sound too robotic, like it's switching notes too fast. So he can kind of program the pitch descent or ascent, the slope, that's the word, to make it sound more organic. And so that's what he does through this. He doesn't do it for every track, but he does it primarily for the main vocal. Mixing and mastering. I actually like this video. I think a lot of people are going to hate this video because it's so simple. So Charlie, spoiler alert, just uses isotope neutron for pretty much every single track. He slaps it on there and just hits the track assist and just lets it do its thing. I think a lot of people are going to hate that, especially for people that are coming into this wanting to maybe learn how to better mix from a professional standpoint. I like it because I hate mixing. I'll be honest. I absolutely hate it. When it comes to the music making process, that is by far my most dreaded task. I do not like doing it. For the last song that I did, I actually just sent it to someone else to have them mix and master it. I paid them to do it. So with this, I was kind of like, okay, cool. So that gives me permission to just use Neutron for my tracks. And for mastering, he basically has a pre-done effect chain on his master channel. And I mean, it's pretty ridiculous. I'm not gonna lie. He has like 7 or 8 plugins, and each one of them costs $200 or $300. Yeah, I just didn't think it was worth that, so I just used Ozone for my most recent track. And I think it comes down to: do you want to spend $1,000 on mastering software and try to do it yourself and do potentially a half-assed job? Or do you want to send it to someone else, outsource it, and have them do a killer job with it? I don't know. To me, I'd rather do the latter, but it could be different for you. But if you're looking for like an in-depth thing on how to mix and master, this is not it. This is basically put these plugins on and do these presets, and then basically use this as your cookie cutter for everything else beyond that. By the way, as far as Charlie's vocal chain, I know I'm probably going to get some comments on that. Vocal chain isn't anything like outlandish. He basically has, just thinking off the top of my head, I know he has auto-tune, a 2A compressor. He has an EQ basically to cut out the lows. He has a multi-band compressor to sculpt out sort of the nasaliness of his voice. And what am I missing? He has a couple sends. So he has a quarter note delay and an eighth note delay. So that was kind of interesting. And then Valhalla Vintage Verb as another send. And I think that's honestly pretty much it for his vocal chain. It's nothing like super crazy. Like Louis Bell's is insane. And it's not even worth documenting because it's just like, yeah, too much. So that's pretty much what I did there. And then I had to finish the song. And so I want to show you what I've done so far with that now. So let's go to that.
Did you really think it's okay? Sneaking out and hopping in his bed. I guess you had your reason. Don't be shocked when you're left on red. You say things will be different, but your forked tongue gives you away. I've made peace with what happened. Now I think you need to move on. Move on. You'll feel better when you move on. Move on. Yeah, I think you need to.
All right, and that's my track. I'm going to be totally honest. I started this track with some extreme reservation. I did not like my initial concept for this song, but this has truly blossomed into not only a very different track for me to make, but one of my most favorite tracks that I've made. Like, I am really proud of this, to be honest, and I can't wait to release it. This is definitely going to be a release that I'm going to do in the future. But it's kind of ironic because this was supposed to be the comfortable song that we make, and this turned out to be an uncomfortable song. So now in the next part of this course, we have to write the uncomfortable song. So exploring new sound styles that you're not familiar with. And so that's what Charlie does in this video. So he writes kind of a strange initial idea for this. It sounds almost like a ballad that you would hear in a Disney movie. Like, there's no drums, there's a lot of strings and other keyboard pads and things like that. Like, it's definitely very different. And so when thinking about doing this for myself, I had to think, okay, well, I've already done an uncomfortable song, so now I need to do something even more uncomfortable. So thinking about it, I think I'm going to try to write my first challenge is I'm going to write something that has no chords to it whatsoever. I always have songs that have chords as a backbone for it. And for this coming song, I'm going to try to do a song that has absolutely no chords, and also try to make it kind of trap style and use 808s, which I also never really use. So we'll see how that goes. But overall, I'm really liking this course. One other course that I highly recommend is Ryan Tedder's. It's very similar to this. So if you're interested, go ahead and check out this video here, and it goes over my review for that course. But until next time, I will see you in the next video.